All right, so today we're going to learn about how to get paid. We're going to run through best practices and let's just get started. So here's a best practice. Before you create an opportunity, you've spoken to the client. All right, you had a great real estate conversation. Now it's time to create an opportunity because you either need to get a buyer brokerage agreement signed or you need to get a listing agreement signed. Everybody on track with me here as far as where we're at? Okay, so in order to do that, the best way, just so it all kind of makes sense between Command and DocuSign, is starting in the contact section. Jump into your contacts. We're going to do this real quick. You're either going to find them because you already had them in there, or you're going to create the contact. I'm going to find them because it's going to be easier for the sake of the class. I'm going to minimize you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute and you can ask away. All right. So you either, again, find or create. Create is over here on the right. Now I'm going to jump into my contact. Hi. Not sure if okay. All right. Once you're in the contact, on the right-hand side, you're going to see the opportunities tab. You're going to select it. If you've ever created an opportunity for them, it'll pop up here. If you have not, you're going to go ahead and hit create no matter what. So let's create. First thing that is going to be very important is for you guys to select the opportunity type. Is it a listing, a buyer, a landlord, or a tenant? Okay, now a listing. If it's a rental listing, please make sure you're choosing landlord and you guys kind of get it, right? It's going to be important because those are going to be the documents related to the transaction type. So you want to make sure you select the right one. Okay, all right. Okay, sorry about that. All right. Then below it shows you the client. Great. If it's a if there is a co-seller, go ahead and add them in. All right, a best practice. When working with a listing, you want to make sure that you name the opportunity, the property address. You already have it. You might as well name it. When it comes to compliance, when they're getting ready to check your files, it is much easier for us to locate it using the property address. So that is a best practice for the sake of compliance, making sure that we can see your stuff. Now, when it comes to a buyer, you don't have an address yet when you're working with a buyer. So that means you can go ahead and leave it as first name, last name, dash buyer. Okay, so later on you can change that and I'll show you guys where to do that in just a moment. So right now I'm going to go ahead and name this. Now, next thing that is required is the commission rate. You already know what you're going into. I'm going to put an outrageous number for the sake of the class. Now let's talk about opportunity phase. The opportunity phase is going to determine where you're at in the transaction, right? Now, where you're at with this client. If you're cultivating them, nurturing, getting to know them, are you setting an appointment or have set an appointment? Or are you actively either going to list their property or start showing them property? This is where you want to select this. This is going to determine your probable and possible income in your pipeline. So it's a good thing to start it where you're at. But something to keep in mind is that for compliance to have access to the file, it must be active. Okay. All right, so if I am just setting an appointment with Davies Test in order to go get my listing agreement signed, I'm going to choose appointment. I'm going to click opportunity stage. Where am I at? We're scheduled. Now I'm going to hit create. So we've come into the contact. We created the opportunity. Now we click into the opportunity. Any questions before I move on to the opportunity section?
The commission rate needs to be entered, otherwise I can't create.
Oh, I did. I just put an outrageous number.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and also keep in mind when you're going to get your listing agreement and your buyer agreement signed, you kind of should already have that number in your head. So that's why they ask you to put it there, because then it'll go into the offers and commissions tab, which you guys will see later on. So let's quickly talk about the details. When you're working with a listing, you can go ahead and jump to this property box, hit the pencil, and go ahead and sync the property. Syncing the property is also going to help when it comes to locating your opportunity because it's synced and it syncs to your KWLS. Next thing over here, you have key information on the left. You can hit the pencil, Here you can change the opportunity name if needed. So let's say in the case of working with a buyer, changing it from first name, last name buyer over to the property address of the executed contract. Okay. Again, finding it with the address is much easier for us. So even when working with a buyer, you want to come back and change that to the property address. Scrolling down, remember we talked about that opportunity phase. Compliance doesn't have access unless this is active. Okay, so making sure that you come in and change that over. So now I'm going to hit save. Now let's jump into the documents. Any questions before I talk about the documents? Okay. All right, very important. Coming to the left and choosing pick checklist type. This is where you're going to see single family, listing referral, commercial sales, condo, town. Again, we're working on the listing side right now, not the landlord side, just the listing side. Okay. So I'm going to select single family. Now, this is going to be new to you guys. You guys have a very short list over at Miami Beach, but now we're all going to be the same across the board because we all are going to be compliant with the new rules. So let's talk about it. How do you determine what is required, conditional, and where you're at? If you guys can mute, that would be great. Mute unless you're going to ask a question, please. Thank you. All right. So right here, you're going to have the requirement is required, and to the right of it, you're going to see an I. If you just place your mouse on top of that I, it'll give you the reason or what it is. So for the tax record, the record provides evidence that the person or persons conveying ownership actually has the right to do so. So we absolutely need the tax record. We need to be sure that you're going under contract with the right person. Then we need the listing agreement. We also need the seller's property disclosure statement signed by the seller. We need the wire fraud prevention notice. We need the net sheet. We need the MLS sheet. Now, I want you guys to take a look at the left because I didn't go over this, but you have a listed, under contract, and closed. So the documents that we just reviewed are when you're going to go get that listing agreement signed. These are the documents you should be taking with you. You should be taking your listing agreement, your seller's property disclosure, your wire fraud prevention notice, your net sheet and your MLS sheet, not yet. Okay, but those 3 documents you should go and get signed all together because it should come all together. You need to know the seller's property disclosure. What do they know or not know? And making sure that they sign that ahead of time. So my suggestion, take all of that together when you're creating your packets. All right, now we're going to run into some conditional items. Now, I want to go through them and then we'll talk about their conditions as we go through them. So if you do a status change form, we are going to require that document. A status change form would be if you're going from active to withdrawn, active to canceled, okay? Not the status of if it goes active, pending, closed. That doesn't require a status change form. It's only when you're changing from active to either withdrawn, canceled, etc. Okay? So if applicable, we need a copy of that. If the property is owned by a corporation, we need the articles of incorporation. So this is something that you can find in Sunbiz. You can ask them directly for it. But if the tax record says that it is owned by ABC LLC company, okay, well, we need the articles of incorporation for said company. The blasting disclosure. So this is new to you guys. The disclosure is applicable for any property being purchased or sold in Doral, Miramar, Miami Lakes, Hialeah Gardens, and Palm Springs North. So if the location of the property lies within any of those cities, you need to provide the blasting disclosure to your seller and get that signed. Then when you go under contract, you must provide it to the buyer's agent so the buyer can sign. Okay, this blasting disclosure talks about rock quarry. There's blasting happening around those areas, and sometimes they can feel a tremble, they can hear it. So we're just advising the consumer, hey, especially the buyer, is hey, this property lies within this area. Okay. Any questions so far? Yes.
Yeah, I just had a question. This whole packet, what was the name or title of this packet with all these conditions?
We are under the listing and single family.
Listing single family.
We created a listing and we came to the single family checklist. So this is for single family homes.
And that was,
sorry, but
no, I was just double checking, was that under our office title? Or was that
I'm not sure what you mean, Jeff. I
Like-
created an opportunity as a listing, and then I
Yes.
picked a checklist and I chose single family. I'm not sure what you
Okay.
mean about office title. Sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't find the single family as well, but I don't know if that's what it means.
Okay, I see what you guys are saying. Okay. So it's because we're doing all of yours, and that's gonna be updated by Friday. So I'm
Got
doing
it, okay,
commercial. Yeah.
okay.
So that's why
Thank
I'm sorry. Now I get it. Thank you, Simon, for clarifying.
No,
that.
because I was going with you, and then at some point I just couldn't find like a single family. So from there on, I just
Got
stopped
you.
doing mine and follow yours.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
So you guys will see this. So yeah, hold on
Yeah.
that. But yeah, you'll definitely see this again by Friday is when it's gonna be updated for everybody and every
Yeah,
Got
that
it,
was-
okay.
action. The only one
because
I have to talk about is short-term rental. Yes,
But-
Monsieur?
so what I did is because I created opportunity for a commercial deal I'm doing, and actually it's all synced and everything, but it's under residential because I couldn't find commercial. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so your office actually never had commercials, so we are adding that now.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
there are some documents that you'll see in there that don't apply to the residential side. So you'll see that as
So-
well. One thing for sure, articles of incorporation, just as a side.
Yeah. So when I go back, because obviously I can edit this, right? Because everything's synced in the details, right? So it's all synced in, but in the checklist here, it's giving me the checklist exactly where you are. It's gonna give me the documents, required documents. It's only gonna give me residential, so I need commercial. You know, I was actually gonna ask you about that. So when they update it, then I can check it and they'll.
Yes. For now, though, you can go to James and James can let you know exactly what you need because that's how we've kind of handled all the commercial deals in your
Okay.
office for like the last couple of months. So yeah, he knows what documents are needed, so you can definitely go to him for that. For
Yeah.
now, but it's gonna
Okay.
be in there. The only thing is just keep in mind you will have to create another opportunity and now void the other one. So you would, but
Oh,
we'll take that offline because this is being recorded. So
okay.
so we'll take that offline. All right, cool. So next document is gonna be the lead-based paint disclosure. So the lead-based paint disclosure, guys, I want somebody to please unmute and let me know, when is this required?
Any building, I mean, any building or property that's built before 1978.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So this is going to be extremely important for you guys to know that this is a federal requirement, meaning if this is not provided to us, we can't pay you. Okay, so please make sure that you guys are doing your due diligence, checking when things were built and making sure you're applying the correct addendas. Okay. All right. Next thing is HOA disclosure signed by the seller. So if their property is in an HOA, please make sure that you get that signed by them because later you're going to have to get it signed by the buyer as well, just like the lead-based paint. And then lastly, you will have a compensation disclosure agreement. And this agreement is going to be if they say, hey, I want to go ahead and write in what I'm going to offer. Okay. But again, you can put that in the listing agreement. If you haven't taken Adrian's DocuDive class, please make sure that you guys attend one of the sessions. I know he's going to have a ton coming up in these next couple of weeks. So take advantage and attend more than one time because he's going to teach you how to fill out that listing agreement. All right. Then you got your listing agreement documents. You're getting everything, loaded up, uploaded. How many hours after getting a listing agreement signed do you need to provide it to the market center?
Immediately, right away.
I love that answer. That's actually the best answer I've gotten all week, if I'm honest. Yes.
48
in the
hours,
world. Yes, that is the answer.
48 hours after you submit
After you
everything.
get it signed. Yep. Thank you, Jeff. So that is the true answer, but the best answer is immediately. And here's why, guys, because if the state were to come and say, hey, I want to pull the file for Davies Test 2120 Miramar Parkway, and they pull it up and they see that it's already been live on the MLS for 83 days, but I don't have a listing agreement. Can you imagine? We're all going to get fined. So hello, I don't want to pay fine money, neither do you, right? So let's make sure that we are staying compliant with the state. It's not an us thing, it's a them thing. So make sure we're being compliant, upload your listing agreements, which means you are gonna sometimes have some documents signed right away and some of them not. The most important one we need uploaded is that listing agreement. And the moment you upload it, I want you to hit submit. This little gray button is actually gonna turn blue. Once it turns blue, you're gonna hit submit. After you have hit submit, you're more than likely going to get your file rejected because they're going to tell you you're missing XYZ documents. Okay, that's okay. The whole point is you got it submitted. You let us know that it was in there. We were able to check it. We were able to tell you if there's something missing or incomplete with your listing agreement, right? So we're just kind of staying ahead of the game. Make sure that as soon as you get those listing agreements signed, you guys come in and upload them right away into Command. All right. So we go over our listing stuff, you submit to MC. Now we're going to go under contract. When we go under contract, you're going to see again, some required, some conditional. So let's talk about the required. We have the purchase contract and addenda. Now this is going to be really important. I've seen a lot of files get delayed for payment or for DA because they're missing addendas that are attached to the contract. You are not under contract unless all the addendums that were checked off are applied to the contract. So you got to make sure that you're getting your addendas. First of all, you're selecting the right ones. I had a really interesting scenario with a listing agent in one of our offices who we kept delaying her payment. I went in and checked and I kept seeing that they were missing an addenda. Well, when I looked, it was a COVID-19 addenda. This buyer's agent used an old contract and selected, it must have been a template or something, and well, it wasn't attached. So our compliance coordinator said, hey, you're still missing an addenda. So as listing agents, just like as a buyer's agent, you want to make sure you're checking your documents and ensuring that there's not something selected that shouldn't be there. Okay, because it will cause you issues later on. So make sure you guys are reviewing right away. So that's page 11 is where that paragraph is for all the addendas. Review them and make sure everything that is related is selected. Then we have an escrow letter. Depending on what is written in the contract, whether 1, 2, 3, 5 escrow letters, that's how our escrow deposits, that's how many letters we need. Or title companies now can actually provide one letter with all the escrow deposits. So we just need the escrow letter, and then we put a placeholder here for a second escrow letter if needed. Okay, so when you see conditional, think of it as if applicable, and it's just a placeholder if anything. All right, next thing, seller's property disclosure now signed by both buyer and seller. Then you're gonna have a mortgage ABA, yours will say 632, and universal title ABA. Okay, so this is gonna be required just to let them know that our office is in business with these companies. Now, your title one, because universal title is a partner, will come first. Mortgage, I can assume will come a little later. I'm not 100% sure on that. Get back to me later. But whatever you see in command is what we're gonna require. So if it's not required yet, you're not gonna see it. All right, next thing.
Davis,
Yeah.
can you click on that document? I was just curious.
No,
Oh.
no, I can't for some reason, actually. We synced it too. So these documents are literally just something that was created by our teams advising the client that we're in relationship with these companies.
Does the client need to sign those documents or just present
Yes.
it to them? Yeah,
They
okay.
need to sign them. Yep. Great question.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, so now we're gonna run into our conditionals. As a listing agent, you had your listing agreement. Seller either said, yes, I'm willing to give cooperating compensation, or no, I'm not willing. Okay. Now later on, it could always be negotiated. Yes. Now with those negotiations, we now have these new documents, the compensation agreements and the modification to compensation agreements. Now, if you've attended Adrian's DocuDive, you will know that we no longer are going to be accepting the seller's broker to buyer's broker. If you don't know what I'm talking about, make sure you go to the class so he can review that. So as of September, you will see this. It won't exist in our command checklist, but for now, they will be there. Okay. The one that you will see is going to be the seller to buyer's broker. So the seller will pay the buyer's broker directly at closing. All right. So that is the compensation agreement. And then you have your modification to compensation agreements. Again, please take Adrian's class. I am not a broker, so I can't really answer many questions as much as I would love to, but take a step.
Tomorrow.
Oh, good. Take it. All right. Then we are going to have, if the seller has an updated net sheet because something changed during the offer process, please make sure that you provide an updated net sheet. Again, if the, oh, look, here's a blasting disclosure. So this synced. All right. So this is what it's going to look like for you too. Please be advised that the reference property is located within a few miles of a rock quarry in Miami-Dade County where blasting for lime rock occurs. All right. See, it's a document that was formulated with the verbiage and everything from our attorneys. We put the info, put the map. It's just a way of advising the client. So nobody can ever say that you didn't tell them. All right, FHAVA addendum, if applicable, lead-based paint disclosure, if applicable, but now signed by both buyer and seller, HOA disclosure, housing for older persons, a condo writer, and addendums 1, 2, and 3. Now, I'm gonna jump over to condo and townhomes because both of their closed sections are identical. So I just wanna quickly go through their list on the listed side. So for a condo, it's gonna look almost identical, except a condo writer is going to be here. Okay, so the condo writer must be signed by the seller ahead of time. Then under contract, again, almost identical, except you have your condo writer signed by both buyer and seller. Okay, and
Davies,
yes,
the
yes,
condo
yes.
writer is what will give all the disclosures of the condition of the building, correct? Like if it's up to date on the work and all the, just
I
trying to-
mean, it's a document from from Florida Association of Realtors, so I don't know if there's any like, I'm not sure, Jeff. I don't want to
I'm
answer
just
that
curious.
question
Yeah,
incorrectly.
I'm just curious with all the new changes, if that's a place where it discloses, conditional factors of the building relative to the state laws.
I'm not sure. I don't think it gives
Okay.
any specific information about any building, but I don't know if there's fill in the blanks for it either. I'm not 100% sure. I've actually never
Okay.
sold a condo.
I'll look into it.
I have this on my
Never
bucket.
sold a condo?
No, sell a condo. That's gonna be my next thing. All right. Thank you, Jeff. So yeah, guys, that's a great Adrian question. Make sure we ask him. If we have any doubts about any of our documents, make sure that we ask him so you guys can get some clarity. Okay, so you'll have your condo writer. We need it signed by both buyer and seller. Then again, your compensation agreements and the modifications if needed, updated net sheet if needed, the blasting, and then here again, the receipt of condo docs. So we need the receipt of condo docs just to have that in there. Now let's go into closed. So the closed is going to look the same pretty much across the board. The only difference is probably going to be a little bit words here and there, but you're going to have your DA. Now I want to talk to you guys about the timelines. So remember we talked about the listed. 48 hours should be when you hit that submit button for the first time. Then after that, you need to check, make sure that you've uploaded everything, make sure if anything needed to be corrected has been corrected, etc. And keep resubmitting. That button will turn into the word resubmit to MC if you've made any updates in the upload portion, okay? So make sure you are resubmitting. You will see the status on the left next to the checklist. So if it was submitted, it'll be in gray and it'll say submitted or resubmitted or rejected or accepted, okay? So those are the 4 different things that you'll see to the left, or open, five different things. You'll also see open, which means you've uploaded something, but you have not submitted anything. So for the listing side, again, we are, oh, I don't know what I just did. Okay, there we go. For the listing side, you are going to submit your listing agreement within 48 hours, and everything else should come shortly after that. Let's talk about under contract. When you get under contract, my suggestion is that until you have an executed purchase contract and addenda, you should not submit anything. Okay, and here's why. For buyers, in the sake of a buyer, sometimes they can fall through, right? It could be anything. Now, right now we're looking at the listed side. So when you get it and you want to upload it, it's because your seller has already signed off and agreed to this offer. Okay, so for the most part, it's gonna go through. So you can go ahead and upload and submit. But when you are representing a buyer, I don't necessarily recommend doing that until it's signed by the seller. I have a lot of agents that for some reason will upload it when it's only signed by their buyer. Please don't do that. Wait until it's executed and then start submitting. But let's go through the timeline. So as you get your offer and it's been executed by all parties, you want to go ahead and upload and submit to MC. At that same moment, you're going to go to the offers and commissions tab. So you hit submit when you have gotten your accepted offer. You're going to upload all of that. You're going to hit submit, then you're going to jump into this tab. Why you want to do it at the same time is because now compliance can kill two birds with one stone. Okay, don't wait to do this. If it's already been executed, let's go ahead and create this offer and commissions tab. So what we do here is we hit add new offer. If you entered the property in the details section, this would have already populated, but because I did not, it has not populated. So I'm going to go ahead and just enter anything that pops up. All right, then we have our property type. This also would have popped up already if you had entered it in the details. I did not, so it doesn't show up. Now, the next thing it's asking for is the buyer name. So we're going to do Mickey Mouse and Donald is his agent. Now, what was the sales price? Let's go with $750. How much cash did they put? They put $15,000. Contract date. You see how there's no asterisk? However, it will not let you move forward without selecting that. So please make sure you enter your contract date. Can anybody define what a contract date is?
The date that all parties have signed.
Sign and knowledge at all parties that have
That's what I'm
signed
talking
and
about.
have knowledge.
And acknowledge,
Absolutely.
yes.
And we're talking that last signature. So,
Yes.
you know, sometimes it'll take somebody a while to finish page 13 of the contract. Well, that last signature date, that's that contract date. So let's say the contract date was August 1st and my closing date, how long on average does it take for us to get to the closing table?
45 days.
Great. So 30 to 45 days. If it's cash, it might be sooner, might be longer. Who knows? But we know 30 to 45 days. So I'm going to go ahead and do September 30th. Now, once I've done that, I hit create and accept. All right, so you see this error that's popped up. This will happen to some of you. I haven't seen it very often lately, but it's still happening. One thing to do when this happens is to troubleshoot and make sure that right here, you've selected the property from your listings. But if you entered it in the details, normally it'll sync automatically. That's just a side note. Now, if that didn't work, we're gonna go ahead and hit create new listing. And I want you guys to pay attention here. You're going to quickly just fill out or enter whatever is required. And we're working on it. This is almost fully fixed, but still see some bugs here or there. So we have 750. The address was 2120 Wiley Street in Hollywood. Boom, boom. I understand. Now I'm going to hit create and select. Okay. Once I've hit create and select, instead of selecting from here, because you see it shows up right here, but instead of selecting right there, I'm going to hit continue to create and select. Once I've done that, I should be able to come down here, hit save and accept offer. And it should work. So let's see. All right, perfect. So that, again, it's normally not happening, but there is going to be a what if, a 1%er. So if it does happen to you, now you know the workaround, just create the market center listing. All right, so now when you are in the commission overview, you're going to have 3 boxes. You're going to have general information, listing commission, and agent payment. Okay, now my suggestion to you until you really familiarize yourself with this is I want you to hit every single edit box, every single one, and just make sure you're going through and triple checking that this is all correct. This is the opportunity right here where if your file and when your file gets approved, we can create a DA. Now, a DA is a disbursement authorization form, which is a form that breaks down how the commission payment is to be paid out. What belongs to KW Miami Beach, what belongs to you, if you're paying out a transaction coordinator, if you're paying X, Y, or Z, okay, a referral. So there's a ton of different things. And there is where we determine all of that. And then title can go ahead and cut the checks as needed. So this is your opportunity to get paid at the table. Now, if your file is not approved, you can't receive your DA. Okay. And we do not create DAs unless we have your documents in and your offers and commissions tab in the system. Keep in mind, we don't know how to pay out. So we can't give you a form saying how to pay you without this information here. So let's dive in. We're going to click on edit general information. So I have my sales price. It did not change. We're good to go. But if it did change, I have the opportunity to change it here. Okay. And you just hit save changes. Now down here, you're going to see your name. I want you to hit update. Now let's go through it. You have a concession. I'm not paying a concession. What about a bonus? If you didn't know, a bonus is what we consider a transaction fee. So when you decide to charge your client a transaction fee and you're entering it in the system so you can get paid on it, it is called a bonus in our system. So let's say I charged my seller $495. Okay, $495. Now here you'll see where it says $495 over distributed. That's okay. We're going to have another opportunity to make sure that everything balances out. I want you to focus and just kind of go through. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Associate royalty, company commission, outside referrals, fold scholarship. Now here, I'm going to skip outside referrals here because there's its own little section, which I'll show you guys in a moment, and I'll explain inside and outside referrals to you as well. Now, if you have a deduction, which means let's say you're paying a transaction coordinator, you hit add deduction. Now your MCA has already entered some companies. If you don't see your company, get with your MCA. They need to add them into the deduction list. Okay, so let's just say it's this, and I'm paying this. I'm going to hit add deduction. All right, now I'm going to hit save. Now let's go to listing commission. Remember I said outside referral has its own section? Let's talk about outside referral. Outside referral is, let's say, so my license is actually with Pembroke Pines. So Jeff, you've participated a lot today. So let's say you and I decide, let's go 50-50 on a listing together. We door knocked, we got the appointment together, we won the listing together. We're going to go in and we're going to do this 50-50, right? An outside referral, one of you can take that 50% in the system and then the other pays the outside referral. So let's say I'm the one that puts it in the system, then I hit add outside referral. I'm going to enter the amount that you and I negotiated on, and then I'm going to begin to enter your information. Now, something that is very important for you guys to understand is we need the tax ID of the brokerage. Because remember, we don't pay agents or brokers, we pay the brokers, or we pay the broker and the brokerage, right? So with that, you need to make sure that when you have a referral situation, you are asking for their W-9, for their brokerage's W-9, okay? And then you go ahead, enter all the info, boom, 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 and now you can hit outside referral, all right? Any questions on the outside referral?
Yeah, Debbie.
Sure.
So how about if you give the referral? Did you need this? They have to require us once the deal is done there, right?
Repeat the question for me.
So, like, I don't know what to say. I remember the conversation we had. You give me the agent number. So I connected and I signed the referral. We agreed to refer and we signed it, and I put in touch with the client. So like today, I'm gonna do a check and update because it's been a week. So it happened. The client is here in Miami, and then she's here in Miami. So eventually they're gonna meet and stuff. So I was saying, I signed it, obviously the KW referral agreement, but I'm just saying in my case, this is her. She needs to do it because she's working the client and then probably doing the sale in the referral.
So that's a great question. So the best way to answer the question is if I refer Mickey Mouse to you, that
Right.
means you are truly the one that's going to be closing the transaction, which means in turn, your brokerage must pay me. So
Okay.
in this case, we're saying this is you creating your opportunity. You're going in and doing the referrals to make sure that KW Miami Beach pays out my broker, right? In our example. Now, in this case, I think it's the opposite for you,
Yeah.
where you gave, she's working it, which means she's
Yeah.
closing it. Yes, she's the one that needs to do this section to make sure that you get paid your referral.
Okay.
Yep. So you're on track. You're on track. All right.
Okay.
So
And
once we
sorry,
enter the,
babies.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Simone.
Outside referrals means referrals that stand outside of Keller Williams.
Outside of KW Miami Beach.
Oh, okay. So, okay.
Yep.
And how does it
So
work if it's within KW?
It's same
it's
thing. I did
still an
it.
outside referral.
It's still,
Yeah.
either way, it's an
Because
outside research.
I want you guys to understand the reason why it's a referral is because the person is in another brokerage. So each KW
It's
is
independent office.
owned and franchise, where each KW is their own
Independent
brokerage.
office. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
So
Davis,
they're always
my
gonna be
question
treated as
is,
outside referral.
but my question is, what if it's within the same brokerage?
Then it's an inside referral, which we will work
Okay.
on next. That's the next thing we're gonna do.
Jeff,
Right.
that means that, if you give it to me, I just.
Exactly.
My
Yeah,
cut is
exactly.
bigger, Jeff. That's all.
No,
Oh.
70-30, we're good.
So let's go through, we're gonna go through listing commission and then we'll go through the agent commission where we can do the inside referral. So here in listing commission, when you hit edit, you're gonna have your commission amount or your commission rate. Now, remember, I put that outrageous number, but I'm gonna go ahead and just put a much smaller number so we get the right idea. Now you
Change
see,
it back to 100. It's nicer.
I know, right? It is. So here it's telling you the total agent commission has now exceeded, and that's because I didn't update it up above in general information. So it gives me an opportunity to update it right here. So here I'm going to go ahead and put that. And I'm going to enter that dollar amount I just saw. And I'm going to hit save. Okay, so now you see commission amount is now balanced. Okay. Now down here, again, remember that total bonus that we entered on that previous box? Total agent bonuses exceed the total bonus. Got to make sure I'm entering it here as well. Now they're balanced. Now I'm going to hit save. Now let's jump down to agent payment. So I'm going to hit edit agent payment. My last opportunity to double and triple check everything. I see everything here. Oh, I need to pay out an agent that I worked with in my brokerage. So in my case, in the KW Partner Southwest office, in your case, in KW Miami Beach. So when you hit add inside referral, you're actually going to be able to type in any agent that is in the brokerage. So I click on their name and I enter their amount. This is a dollar amount. So if you decided, let's say 35%, you will have to do the calculations. So whip out the calculator and do what 35% of the 7,500 in this case is. And I'm terrible at math. 7,500 is 2625.
Is that after the brokerage split, that number that you're using?
So I'll show you up here. Hold on. All right. So I am going to break down your question because it's going to be a little easier to explain. So up here in the summary, it shows you the commission amount. Everything that is done here is all done before the split. Okay, so everything that's up here. So outside referrals, concession, bonus, co-broker, commission amount, all of that is done before the split. Then you have your split, and then down here it shows you the difference of pay to office. Now here, the other deductions, remember, our $300 brokerage fee, and then we have, in my case here, I entered a transaction coordinator. So that will give you the sum of the two deductions, which in my case was 500. So it shows you here. So Jeff, to answer your question, the inside referral goes here under pay to agents. Because what happens is we automatically just go ahead and split it for you because it's inside referral. Outside referral, we don't do that. You know, we're going to give out what needs to be given out, and then we'll take everything out of your split. So that way,
because their brokerage has to take their cut too. Correct?
Exactly. So for
That
inside
makes sense.
referrals, we take care of it for you. Outside referrals, we just send out the whole total.
Got it.
Right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, once you have selected every box and you review the summary and it makes sense to you, please hit submit. One of the biggest delays we have is that our agents are not hitting submit on this commission tab, which will delay because again, we cannot create a DA until we know that this is a fully satisfied commission tab. Okay, I feel like
Mm.
somebody had a question.
I have a question.
Yeah.
A bit of just a scenario situation. You do
Sure.
all of this, you've agreed upon commissions, but then in the negotiations, you have to present that new modification to commission form. Do you have to go back and redo all of these numbers or what?
So,
Like, I'll give you an example.
yeah,
I'm the listing agent.
Mhm.
I have an agreement with my seller, but in order to get the deal done with this buyer, he's going to give up 0.5% to the buyer's agent as part of the concessions they're offering. That's
Mhm.
coming out of what. So I'm going from 3% down to 2.5
okay.
on my part. Do I
Banana.
have?
Bananas.
Yeah, banana. Excuse me. 3 bananas specifically down to 2.5 bananas.
Yep.
And would I have to modify all of these
Yeah,
numbers?
so that's a great question, Jeff. So with that being said, yes, anytime there needs to be a modification done here in the commission tab, there's you're gonna see a button that says terminate. Please do not touch it. Because when you hit
Okay.
terminate, it kind of like closes out the entire thing and you can't recreate an commission tab and then we have to go in and do it for you. And it kind of creates a hassle. Don't hit terminate. My advice and the way that I think you guys should all handle this is get with James right away. Send an email to Jenny, Lisette, and James and let them know that you need to make a correction to your commission tab and to please release it. And that is only in the event that you've already hit submit. If you haven't
That
hit
was my
submit, you're
question.
good to go.
Good.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
haven't hit submit, you're good to go. But if you hit submit, you need to make sure that you're getting with James right away so he can release it. So that way it can open up and you can make your edits. But please don't hit terminate, guys. I'm so
That's
glad
also
you,
what,
Jeff.
I'm sorry. I was going to say that's also when you would upload that modification document, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Now I'm gonna jump back here to documents really quick and show you guys again in the close tab. You're gonna have that opportunity to enter the last modification. If from the moment you went under contract to close, did something change, we need that copy. So you'll see that here.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So I
How
do
much-
want to jump into a buyer opportunity. Do we have any more questions on the list side?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
just a second. Again, like if you are the one that's referring, how do you make sure that the other person is doing what we are supposed to do when we receive a referral?
It's kind of hard. You kind of can't, right? It's gonna depend. Like as far as a KW agent, I think the conversation would be easy, but for another company, I'm not sure what
No,
their
let's say in my case, I refer someone in New Jersey from Keller Williams.
Yep.
How do I make sure that he's doing his side of the job for my compensation?
I mean, talking to
I
them.
can't.
There's
Phone
no way
calls.
for you to get
Okay.
into someone else's account or anything. You know, you
No,
don't
no, I don't
like
ask that,
share
but like maybe there's
access.
a.
We don't have, yeah, like there's no way for them to like share an opportunity. That actually is a good idea though. I think that would be
Yeah,
great for
that
KW.
would be good.
Or at least like a reminder. I don't know. It's
I
like,
think
or just
it
you
would just,
contact them, like make sure you.
right. Just
Yeah,
kind of
just follow
in
up.
conversation, exactly. In conversation, just, hey, just want to be sure you've uploaded the referral agreement, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But great question. Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, excuse me, we're in a relationship business, so that is a great opportunity. Hey, how's it going? How's the transaction? Do you need any
Yeah.
help from me? Ba, 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 ba. And by the way, please make sure that you uploaded the referral agreement so the brokerage can be paid.
Okay.
But yeah,
And
so
there's no way for us to check if they have done it
no, there's
on
no,
our hand. Okay. Okay.
no. Yeah. All right, so let's jump into the buy side real quick. The documents are almost identical, so I'm not really gonna dive too deep into it. But I do just want to show you a few things. Hopefully today.
And I jumped in extremely late, so my apologies if this was covered already.
Sure, go ahead.
So you're going into the buyer's side now, which is where I sit currently, right?
Okay.
Before anything happens with the commissions tab, you have to have had everything approved up until the closed section.
No. No, and I'll go through the timeline again now. That way anybody else
And
that
then,
can
so
say
what,
they can hear it.
so once you press submit, how do you know if your DA has been produced or sent over to the title company?
We don't send it over to the title company. All we do is we upload, which I'll show you guys now as well.
So if I don't see it where the upload is, what happens then?
Then there may be a reason as to why.
Okay,
I'll kind of go through that explanation because I'm sure it can answer the question for many. Do you have another one
Okay.
that way I can make sure I cover it too? Because these are
nope,
great.
that's
These are
it.
great. I
Nope,
think that
that's
this
it
is
so
great
far.
because it comes from the perspective of how you guys feel when you're uploading. So I'm gonna walk through kind of what that looks like for us in the back end, so you have the understanding of when things are done and how. So let's talk about the buyer
Okay.
side real quick. I'm gonna show single family. You're gonna see buyer referral, commercial buyer, new construction, and condo townhomes. We're gonna start with single family in consultation. You have your property pre-touring, your showing agreement, and your buyer brokerage agreement. So the first two are conditional. It's going to depend. Do they not want to sign a BBA just yet? But when they do, make sure you're uploading that BBA because it is absolutely required. The other two are required if applicable. So make sure you upload if applicable. Now jumping into under contract. Now that consultation one, the moment it's signed, submit to MC. And remember, we are doing this before we submit offers, right? Because we're not showing property without one, right?
Yes.
I hear
Oh,
you
for
guys.
sure.
See, this is what I love to hear. All right,
We're
so
tour guides, we're not tour guides. All right,
you
so
are
look-
not a tour guide, you are a real estate professional. All right, so when you go under contract, we will still need the copy of the MLS sheet because this will now show there's a new little section that says seller to buyer incentives. So that's any concessions that they're offering, etc. So all of that is going to be very important for us to keep a record of. So make sure you're uploading that. Tax record. We want to be sure your buyer's under contract with the right person. Pretty simple, right? Purchase contract and addenda. Remember, we talked about it earlier. Whatever addendas are selected on page 11 of the contract are required to be uploaded into the system. So please make sure that you guys are checking and double checking that work. Escrow letters. However many deposits, we need that many letters or one stating each deposit. Seller's property disclosure, making sure you're receiving it signed by both buyer and seller. Wire fraud, your ABAs. Then down here, we're jumping into our conditionals. So again, our compensation agreement and the modification if needed. Blasting disclosure, making sure that this is signed. FHAVA, lead-based paint. Oh, you know what question came up with the lead-based paint? And I want to give you guys that scenario. This was an agent who listed a property where everything was gutted in the home. The home was built in like 60 something, 62, 63. And they gutted everything and redid everything on the inside. She asked if we still needed it. I asked Adrian because
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
Yes.
I asked
you
Adrian this, a very similar question.
Yep, I remember. So just remember, guys, and honestly, there was a very seasoned agent who said that they forgot because it was so renovated that they didn't even realize it was in 78. So do your due diligence, make sure you guys know when the properties were built. We need it, period.
Davis,
HOA,
on that, is if it's a full tear down and a rebuild, that's when it's legal to skip
Correct.
it, right?
Because
Okay.
now the structure is not from 78.
Yeah,
The structure
But-
is from 2024, and for the example.
so
yeah.
existing framework, you need to document.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
All right. Another one that really gets lost and it creates delays is this one, the HOPA. Make sure that if you guys have or you're selling a property or your buyer is going to buy a property in a community that is housing for older persons, you are uploading this document. Okay, because we are going to reject your file if we don't see it. Then you have the placeholders for addendums 1, 2, and 3. Now up here, no, okay. So you have net sheet. Now, the title companies can create like a buyer net sheet. So it can show the buyer everything that they're going to be spending, kind of like a breakdown, right? Like a pre-CD, a pre-closing disclosure. Okay. So you guys can have title create that. We want it. We want it. The reason why we want it, we want to make sure that the compensation is in there, or whatever was agreed by buyer and seller is in there. Okay, guys? So please make sure that you guys are getting that. Your title company can provide those for you. Ask in advance, make sure that we can get something like that. Okay. Now, let's talk about timelines here. So remember, consultation, your BBA should have been uploaded the moment that you got it signed. Great, love it. Now your buyer is going under contract. When you receive those executed documents, you will begin to upload and submit. So you upload and submit. Let's talk about how long a file can truly take to get approved. A file can take anywhere between 7 to 10 business days to be approved, and that could be because of any back and forth. You're missing an initial, you're missing a document. How long does it take you to get that initial in that document and then re-upload and resubmit, right? So it's a 50-50 relationship. Compliance is compliancing. Are you following up? So making sure that you guys are going in and following up is definitely key to get it within that window. But in honesty, what I've been seeing lately is about 15 business days, just because of the back and forth, not checking, etc. Now, let's talk about that offers and commissions tab and how it's related to the DA. So your documents, you come in, you start uploading, you start submitting, they're reviewing them. Once those are approved and your commission tab has been approved, we can now create a DA. That DA will be created and will be uploaded under this close section. You'll see the DA at the top of the list. It'll have a blue clickable link. It's a file. You open it up and it's going to have the breakdown of what you entered here. Okay. Now, again, if you want to get paid at the table, and on average, a closing can take 30 to 45 days. That means from that 44th day, you should have already been uploading and submitting documents. Now, I had an agent, this is actually their transaction coordinator for a big team that we have over in Plantation. She brought up a good point, and I actually want to share it with you guys so you guys kind of get a perspective. When it comes to the commission tab, she doesn't like to submit it until the loan commitment has been received. So until they say, yep, we're good to go, that's when she submits. But I want you guys to keep in mind, that's still about 30 days before the closing actually happens, which means you guys can get paid at the table. You just got to make sure you're submitting your documents on time and following up with anything that needed to be corrected or uploaded. Okay, Tony Ann, did that answer your questions? I don't even know if she's still here.
Sorry, I'm driving. Yes, it did.
Okay, good. So once the file is approved, your commission tab has been approved. Now we can create the DA and we upload it. We don't upload a DA if the file is not approved. Now I want to talk about this close section and why the DA is created prior to close being approved, because we need the copy of the HUD. The point for a DA is for you guys to get paid at the closing table. We'll take the HUD afterwards. It's not a big deal. Just make sure that it's done within at least 48 hours after closing. We need the copy of the commission check or the wire confirmation. That's just to make sure we're keeping track of everything that came in, especially if you got paid at the table. We don't really have any physical proof of it, right? We don't have any physical copies. So make sure that you do that as well within 48 hours. A walkthrough. Right now it's optional, and I want to bring up that we will be making this required very soon. So I want you guys to be ready and make sure you're always doing your walkthroughs, taking your forms, and have your clients sign it. Then remember that question about if you changed if there was any type of modification to compensation. This is the placeholder to make sure you upload that if something changed from the under contract stage to the closing table. Okay, so this is all that we need after you've closed. Now this, you most likely will get to us a little bit sooner. Go ahead and upload it and hit submit. It doesn't hurt to make sure that they've checked it and they can make sure that it is the correct modification. That's something else I want you guys to really pay attention to is, are you selecting the correct documents? Because these look real similar after you've looked at them 10 times, your eyes kind of go like that. So make sure you guys are ensuring that whatever you're using, if it's a compensation and you need a modification, that it matches that original document. Because if not, it doesn't mean anything. Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions? Monsieur, I'm going to be messaging you so we can get on a quick call about that commercial. So then we can talk about what's necessary so you have an idea, okay? I don't even know if you're still on. All right. All right, guys. So again, this was recorded, so I'll send it out in the chat. Thank you all for being here. I don't see anyone. Let me make you guys bigger. Oh, hello. Simon, do you have a question?
Just it's for a transaction that I'm dealing at the moment, and I wanted to know if I'm doing everything like it looks like I might be skipping some steps. So I wanted to make sure just how do I check that I've done all the proper steps?
Okay, yeah. So if you want,
If we
stay
can
on the
do if we
call.
can do off
Yeah, stay
separate.
on the call and we'll have, once everybody hops off, you can show me, okay?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you,
Thank you,
Davies.
Davies. Have a nice day.
Guys, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you,
XOXO.
Davies. Bye.
Thank
Simone, how
you.
you feeling?
David. Bye.
Simone, how are you feeling?
Hi, I'm feeling better. I'll be
Okay.
definitely back at the office from Monday. I'm meeting Dustin because we have several things going on with him. Yeah.
Wonderful. See you
Yeah.
then. Bye,
I just
everyone.
didn't
Have a great
I
one.
didn't want to spread germs.
Spread love, not germ.
Yes.
All right, guys. Have a great one. Thank you, Davies.
Bye,
Bye,
Lisa. Thank you.
Lizette. All right, so do you want to share your screen?